This installment of Insurance Insights is a collaborative presentation of the Institute's Griffith Foundation and IASA. Griffith empowers public policymakers through unbiased education on insurance and risk management. IASA, a global professional association, serves insurance leaders worldwide in accounting, finance, risk, and technology, fostering the exchange of practical knowledge. Together, we're advancing understanding across the insurance ecosystem.
This is Frank Tomasello of the Institute's Griffith Foundation here at the offices of the Virginia Bureau of Insurance in Richmond, Virginia, where I'm visiting with the newly elected president of the NAIC, Virginia Insurance Commissioner Scott White. He's my guest on this edition of Insurance Insights. Commissioner White, thank you for joining me and congratulations on your election to the role of NAIC president for 2026. As you assume the presidency at the NAIC, what do you believe were some of the most significant regulatory accomplishments as we look back to 2025, and how will those set the stage for you as you enter this term in office?
Well, Frank, thanks, and it's great to be here and talk with you this morning. I'll start with, as a state regulator, I know that one of my main jobs is always to be looking towards the future. So not only do we want to ensure today that we have strong markets, that companies are paying claims, the consumers are protected. We also want to make sure that we guarantee stability. That's essential for accessibility and affordability of coverages. We want to make sure that's occurring both today and in the future. So I want to start by thanking North Dakota Insurance Commissioner John Gottfried for his leadership last year at the NAIC. He did that under the banner of securing tomorrow today. And it really reinforced the time-tested effectiveness of the state-based system, and also ensured that we are continuing to lead in what we consider to be an evolving insurance landscape. So we thought it was a busy year, that it was full of good work, and I'm really proud of everything we were able to accomplish together. So what were we able to accomplish? I think I'll start with the strengthening and modernization of our solvency framework last year. That was a big focus. The centerpiece of that was on strengthening governance around risk-based capital requirements. This is a critical solvency tool that we use to identify weakly capitalized companies, and frankly, it was in need of an update. In related matters, we also really took a look at all types of risks for insurance invested assets, with a focus on new and emerging assets. We also, as we looked at insurers continuing to rely more and more on other jurisdictions to back U.S. policyholder obligations through offshore reinsurance, we wanted to make sure that we have tools in place to test the adequacy of those reserves. So we adopted a rule and a tool, an actuarial guideline that will be used to test reserve adequacy when it comes to certain offshore reinsurance contracts. So another example is our work to better understand our property insurance markets, both at the state and national level. And really, we're going to be focused on launching a new homeowners data call. This is going to help us better understand the affordability, the availability issues that consumers face. We'll also be able to look at the effectiveness of mitigation programs that are used to lower claims and, by extension, insurance costs. So we expect to launch that data call early next year.
Commissioner, what were some of the other significant accomplishments and developments in 2025?
So at the federal level, we repeatedly urged Congress to extend the enhanced ACA tax credits before they expired last year. And we also visited the FEMA Review Council last September, where we urged them to reauthorize long-term reauthorization of the NFIP program, to improve mitigation, to have more accurate flood mapping, and to develop more responsible growth in the private flood market. So we're still looking ahead. One of the strengths of our state-based system is our ability to collaborate closely across the country on any number of issues that impact not only our local communities, but the global marketplace.
What do you see as top priorities for 2026, and why do they demand the immediate attention of the regulatory community?
Yeah, so at the NAIC level, we're facing a number of challenges, but we like to look at these challenges as more like opportunities that allow us to make a difference. So as we turn to 2026, we're going to continue to focus on what we think are key issues that are impacting consumers and that are impacting our markets. So we not only want to keep up with, we want to stay ahead of the curve on issues like artificial intelligence. So one of the things we're going to be focused on this year is developing a tool that regulators can use to evaluate how insurance companies are using AI systems when we go in there and examine those companies. Along similar lines, we want to be able to advance our regulatory frameworks for privacy protection and addressing cybersecurity threats. So this will be achieved through updating our privacy protection model law. We're really going to be looking at how insurance companies collect and use data today in terms of updating the model law, and also achieving more consistency among the states in terms of regulating how insurance companies protect consumer data from cyber threats. So as our communities deal with ever-increasingly natural catastrophe disasters, we also want to focus on mitigation programs that enhance resilience. So at the NAIC this year, we're really going to be focusing on what we call developing playbooks that inform states about laws or programs that help or require resiliency measures. So you think about enhanced building codes or flood planning. We're also going to continue to collaborate with our federal and state partners. We want to make sure that they understand the link between insurance and resiliency. We're going to continue to identify gaps and strengthen our solvency tools. Again, when it comes to life insurers changing investment profiles, we want to make sure that these changes are well balanced, that they're vetted, and that they're feasible for both regulators and the industry. So a lot of that is going to take the form of additional training or educational opportunities for our financial and actuarial regulators, support that help them continue to monitor and address the changes we're seeing in both the life and the insurance and the reinsurance industries. We also want to continue enhancing our data architecture, our predictive analytics, and also our early warning capacity. These are going to be top priorities, ensuring that as the market and the industry continues to grow, that we have the data tools and predictive analytics to stay on top of that and be proactive to address these changes. This is far from an exhaustive list, but it's plenty to keep us busy in the upcoming year.
Indeed. Commissioner, if I may, a follow-up. You spoke a bit about AI and cyber. I'm curious as to your thoughts with respect to AI and cyber, and specifically the role of a state-based approach to consumer-related protections there, given our federalism.
Well, one thing we're seeing is an effort at the federal level to place a moratorium on state-led efforts to regulate AI. We advocate for our state-based approach when it comes to regulating the insurance market. We've spent years, Frank, starting with developing principles that led to our AI bulletin, and now we're using the guidance we provided in that bulletin to really help insurance companies understand how they should be using AI responsibly and how they should be using it in a way that protects consumers. We're using that, Frank, through our existing framework. We don't think we need new laws to do that. But what we're trying to do is, again, use this new tool to evaluate how companies are using AI when we go in and examine those. And if we do identify gaps or areas where we need to adopt new laws, maybe it's with third-party models or other use of data, then we'll take appropriate steps at that time.
Thank you. Fostering innovation within the insurance ecosystem, doing so while ensuring consumer protection is an ever-present challenge. Where do you see opportunities to reduce friction within that system for the benefit of all? We'd appreciate your thoughts there.
It's a good question, and we're always mindful of the trade-offs and the costs that come with implementing new regulations, particularly as industry is trying to innovate when it comes to products and approaches. So we welcome that information, but we know we have to remain vigilant when it comes to our mission of ensuring market stability and consumer protection. One of the main NAIC's missions is to streamline and harmonize regulations through standard setting and regulatory collaboration. So this collaborative approach, whether you're talking about policy, data collection, technology, it's done to minimize inconsistencies among the states that oftentimes lead to that friction. So another way the NAIC promotes collaboration and consistency when we're talking about adopting regulations or in other areas is through our open and public process for adopting regulations. This is something we're very proud of, and we think it provides ample opportunities for regulators and stakeholders to provide feedback on whatever we're doing.
Commissioner White, can you talk a bit about the relationship between insurance commissioners and state lawmakers? How do you see those roles dovetailing, and what part does the NAIC play there?
Well, we've worked really hard, Frank, to foster a collaborative relationship with state legislators and groups such as the National Council of Insurance Legislators, NCOIL, and also the National Conference of State Legislators. So we typically send several regulators to the NCOIL meetings each year, and we dialogue frequently with their leadership, whether it's at their meetings or our own meetings. Just last month at our fall national meeting, we welcomed over 30 legislators to our 17th annual government orientation and dialogue, where we had legislators meet with state regulators to talk about issues impacting the insurance landscape and also focusing on our NAIC priorities. So, we view state legislators as our partners in ensuring the strength of the state-based system.
Commissioner, as we look beyond the challenges and opportunities of today, and you've done a great job sharing your thoughts there, are there emerging issues that are not yet ripe that we should begin thinking about, and that state leaders, that the NAIC and that lawmakers might want to begin positioning themselves to address? What does that look like?
Well, I'll focus on a few I've already mentioned because we're dealing with a lot of new and emerging issues, including assets, in the life insurance space. This means identifying those assets when they come into the marketplace and also making sure that they receive the appropriate risk-based capital charge, which may need to be developed to ensure that the charge is commensurate with the risk. Although this is no longer what we consider to be an emerging concept, the growth and innovation in this space is something we're continuing to keep our eye on, so we know we have to be laser focused when it comes to being proactive in addressing how we regulate those. We want to understand how industry is continuing to leverage artificial intelligence when it comes to streamlining their operations and enhancing the consumer experience. We're also looking at how consumers are beginning to use artificial intelligence in their own insurance decisions. So those are areas that are quickly evolving and that we need to keep our eye on. Finally, understanding how changes at the federal government are impacting things like the National Flood Insurance Program, disaster recovery, mitigation financing or funding, certainly our health insurance markets, and homeowners insurance generally. These are all issues that we know that as states and at the NAIC level, we need to be nimble and prepared to engage.
Commissioner White, thank you for visiting with me. We appreciate you inviting us to Richmond, and we appreciate you sharing your insight and your expertise with our audience.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.